F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Back here at Full Moon Barbecue. Dinner crowd arriving, and why not? I went back and saw what's back there, Wes. There's a lot of good stuff back there.
Oh, I bet.
Ribs, chicken, potatoes. I got a little bit of everything here at Full Moon Barbecue. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Good to be here, Full Moon.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
If you have not checked out our Twitter page, or whatever they're calling it this week, put some pictures up. And if that doesn't make your mouth water, I don't know what will. So come on by here. Drew DeArmond, I know he will be by here. Coming up in hour number 2, we're walking you up to Hey Coach, the Nick Saban Show. And also coming up later on tonight, you've got Thursday Night Football with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings that you'll be able to listen to right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. So glad we can feature more NFL games from our friends over at Westwood One. Well, Nick Saban was a guest on the Pat McAfee Show and laughed off the retirement talk that is once again out there. This feels like about 5 years in running with this retirement talk, Wes.
5 years, yeah.
Maybe more than that?
Well, I might have started it way back when, so I don't know. I thought he was going to retire after they won the Clemson game way back when.
Yeah.
And I was told Miss Saban said we're doing too many good things with the money you're making and
building houses.
And what are you going to do anyway?
Yeah.
So with Nick's kids and now he's making. I hear he makes more money from Mercedes than he does from the dealerships than he does from football. So I don't know if that's true or not. But either way, I think last year he gave over $1 million away to charity in the Tuscaloosa area. So
that's awesome.
Wow, right?
It really is. That is incredible. Taking a look at some lines that are out there. By the way, we do have Army and Texas San Antonio over on Zone 2 tomorrow night. The Roadrunners are a 9-point favorite over Army tomorrow night that you'll be able to hear over on Zone 2. Again, that's a Friday night kick there in San Antonio. Mississippi State is still a 9.5-point home dog to LSU. And I just think that's going to be relatively close. I could be way off base.
Could be.
That's a lot of points. Other point lines, Alabama remains a 34-point road favorite at South Florida. Scrolling down a little bit more, Georgia is a 27.5-point favorite at home over South Carolina. And I don't know how much we know about South Carolina and how they looked against North Carolina right out of the gate. But I did have an opportunity to talk to Shane Beamer ahead of this matchup in Athens. By the way, it's on CBS television in the last year of that contract, with some games now on CBS, not as many as we've had in the past.
I wanted to ask about your run defense in particular. How would you evaluate that through 2 games, and what kind of challenges do you see out of Moulton and the Georgia offense there on the run game, Coach?
Yeah, I think we've been okay. I mean, I feel like we faced a good run team against North Carolina in week 1. They had a veteran offensive line and really good running backs and a quarterback in Drake May that, was a weapon with his feet. We weren't good enough, but, I feel like we were solid. last week against Furman. They had an athletic quarterback that could run, and he presented some problems. We misfit a run on I think it was the very first play of the game. We misfit a run, and he ran for a first down. But overall, we did a solid job. And obviously it's a huge challenge this week. Stopping their backs who are talented, but then they'll hand the ball to Bowers on a jet sweep or reverse or whatever it might be. And there's a play, I think it's in the Tennessee Martin game. Bowers, his first time he touched the ball this year, he literally breaks 5 tackles and runs for an explosive run. So we've got to do a great job stopping the run. It takes all 11 guys on our defense, and then we have to do a great job. And to do that, we have to do a great job of tackling, which is will be a challenge against these guys.
I've heard you a couple of times mention your team's effort in practice, and I know a couple of weeks ago you didn't really like it, but since then, how well has this team practiced, Coach?
They've been great. They really have. And we did. We had a bad Tuesday before North Carolina, and that's a direct reflection to how you play. We played a lot on that Saturday like we practiced on Tuesday, and I've been really pleased the last 2 weeks. Our message to the team is we've got to get better. We're young, and we're inexperienced, and we're playing true freshmen everywhere. And the only way you're going to get better is you got to practice, and you got to get better during practice. It doesn't just happen on Saturdays, and I feel like our guys have. I feel like our Tuesday practice yesterday was – I've been in Athens. I know what a Tuesday practice in Athens is like, and we challenged our guys. We have to have a fantastic Tuesday, and we really did, effort-wise, physicality, speed, all that. I feel like we got better, yesterday, and that's what we have to continue to do is practice well, which gives us an opportunity, one, to get better as a team, but then two, to have some success on Saturdays.
That is a little bit of Shane Beamer from earlier in the week, actually yesterday in the SEC teleconference. What did you hear right there, Wes?
He's right. They got to get better. They got a lot of young players, and where they're going is not for the faint of heart. Good football team, got a lot to prove still, and really hadn't played anybody so far. This will be the first team that
Georgia, yeah,
that they'll face with that. Will be, SEC caliber play. There's no question about that.
Georgia, by the way, going for 20 straight regular season SEC wins, and that would tie them with the 93-94 Auburn squad led by Terry Bowden, and the Tennessee squad from 1950 to 1951, 2 years in a row. They won 20 in a row as well. There for the Vols. By the way, the streak for the most consecutive SEC wins in a row does belong to Alabama, but I wonder if you know which era has the record.
Coach Stallings and them did 28 in a row, I believe. Was that?
That era had 23 in a row. That's from 91 to 93. Nick Saban, from 2015 to 2016, it's called the Lane era.
Yeah.
That was 26 in a row.
Wow.
But that's not the record. The record is the Coach Bryant era from 78 to 80. 28 SEC regular season wins in a row.
That's wild. That's a lot.
That is just ridiculous to think about. 28 in a row from 1978 through 1980. Georgia remains nearly a 4-touchdown favorite over South Carolina. We'll see how that works out for the Dogs. Again, that is on CBS with Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, and Jenny Dell. Tennessee, Florida is it's a little more intriguing than I thought it was going to be when we went up to the construction zone that is Nashville, Tennessee for SEC Media Days. And I wanted to play my full conversation, if I have it, from Coach Josh Heupel. And actually, I've got Kirby Smart in front of me. So let me play this part of it since I just played Shane Beamer. But I do want to get to the Florida Tennessee matchup as well.
Wanted to ask about Spencer Rattler. What kind of growth have you seen of the South Carolina quarterback, Coach?
Well, he's got an elite arm. I think he's got some really good weapons around him. His knowledge and understanding of where to go with the ball, you can tell they've done a great job. He gets the ball out quick. He's accurate. He's athletic. I mean, he can get in and out of the pocket, steps up in the pocket well, escapes well, knows when to run and when to throw. I mean, he can make all the throws. I can promise you that. I mean, for a guy, he's just got a ton of arm talent.
I heard you earlier in the week mention how hard it is to evaluate your defensive line, but I did want to ask about from a tackling perspective and guys being in the right places. Through 2 weeks, how well of a tackling defense do you think you've got, Coach?
I don't think you can judge it on those. You know, the tackling judgment we do is our scrimmages and our practices. We talk about lost leverage and missed tackles and chart them and guys that have multiple, you know, become violators. In the games we've had, we haven't had a large number of those, but the situations that they've been put in space terms and the guys they've been up against hadn't been the caliber of guys that they go against in practice. So I look at it from a standpoint of, did they do what they were supposed to do? Did they do it with a sense of urgency? And did they make the play? And right now, that evaluation's easy. It's going to begin to get a lot harder this week.
That is Kirby Smart again yesterday during the SEC teleconference as Georgia really takes on their first big test of the year, and that is the South Carolina Gamecocks, although last year wasn't much of a test as Georgia ran away with it early and kind of went into cruise control.
Yeah, that's when they figured out they had three really good tight ends in that game. So,
yeah.
And nobody covered the walk-on. You know, they're still – Georgia's so much better than South Carolina. South Carolina has so many holes. That became very evident the first game. It's just if they can keep it close at halftime. What's the line? 4 touchdowns?
27.5.
Yeah, so if they can keep it, that'd be good for South Carolina based on what we saw last year.
As I mentioned, the Tennessee-Florida game, it's been a while since Tennessee has won at Florida. In fact, you got to go back a couple of decades. Turn of the century of 2001, the last time that Tennessee has beaten Florida at Florida. And you would think things are set up awfully well. That is, unless you watched and paid very close attention to what happened during the Austin Peay game. Third down conversions have been an issue, and I'd say Joe Moulton throwing fastballs instead of learning that off speed is an issue as well. Here is my conversation with Vol head football coach Josh Heupel.
Wanted to ask about the wide receiver core. Through the first couple of games, how would you evaluate just route running, catching, blocking even? How would you evaluate your wide receiver core, Coach?
Yeah, I thought they've been really good out on the perimeter. They play extremely hard. For the most part, we played with really good fundamentals. You know, there were a couple holding calls last week, and you know, one of them was probably real. But I thought they've been really good out there, and you know, we're going to continue to need that as we go. We see that as an extension of our run game. In route running, they've been really pretty solid. End of the day, there's some things that we need to clean up as quarterback and wide receivers, but we're certainly capable of it. I've seen this group of guys really do it at a high level. You know, the only one that's gotten a good amount of playing time is Dante that we hadn't seen playing games before we kicked off the season. So a few drop balls last week, and we got to clean that up. But believe in these guys and know they're capable of that too. So we just got to settle in. You know, last week early in the football game, didn't think we were settled into the game very well. And you know, that'll be big on the road in this environment against this type of opponent.
Also wanted to ask about the center position, not just specifically about Cooper, but really the opportunity that you saw out of Ollie and Dane in that role as well. And is Cooper playing this weekend, first and foremost, Coach?
Yeah, I feel really good about what Ollie and Dane have done, the rotation that we've had there, and it's great to get Coop back with us. Obviously he was with us last week some too, but a little bit more limited last week, and he's been good on the field with us so far this week. So excited about that.
That is Josh Heupel, another non-con.
What's the line of that game, Steve?
Last I checked, it was 6.5. 6.5.
Huh.
It started out at 5, so it's ballooned up a little bit to 6.5. Tennessee, your road favorite at the Swamp. Non-conference games have been an issue. I mean, there's just no other way to sugarcoat it.
What is the non-conference record?
I looked that up earlier, and I know it is the worst out of the gate. ESPN did an article on it. This is the worst start in 21 years in the SEC in non-conference games. I believe the record is 6-21 against Power 5. From what I read earlier. And I think in terms of the biggest non-conference games this weekend that involve SEC teams is Arkansas, as they play host to BYU. Had a chance to talk to Sam Pittman about his Hogs entering into this contest.
Wanted to ask about the linebacker core in particular. A lot of experience there with BYU with number 2 and number 10, and I'm not even going to try his last name, Coach, but I wanted to ask, what kind of challenges they bring to you guys the weekend, Coach?
Yeah, I like them both, and to be honest with you, you could add Max Tooley in that too. I love Max Tooley. I think he's a hard-playing son of a gun, seems like a leader on his team. But Bywater, number 2, he's certainly played well. Their whole defense has in the first 2 games. But, having guys that's played a lot of ball there, and, the 10 is from a transfer from Utah State. They played a lot of football. So, they're an older group of guys anyway, so they're, mature and smart. They're always in the right gaps. But you hit it. Those 3 guys are definitely, in my opinion, the leaders of the football team.
Statistically, you guys are first in the SEC, 4th nationally in rush defense. How good does your rush defense look to you, Coach, through a couple of games?
Well, we've had a lot of negative plays. We've had a lot of sacks, and we've had a lot of behind the line of scrimmage plays, and those certainly go into the rushing department, and they help us, and it's certainly part of the game. But our defense, we felt like we'd be pretty good on the D-line. Probably didn't play as well the first game as we did the second game, and we raised a little more havoc in the second game. But, as long as our linebackers are making the fits off of those guys and tackling well, which I felt like we tackled a little bit better week 1 than 2, then we should have a really good rush defense.
That is Sam Pittman as they welcome in BYU, a team that they handled pretty good on the road last year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I haven't watched BYU play. What's their record? And I don't think you said 6-21.
I want to say they
haven't played 27
It's
games.
Combined for everybody, all schools in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, but they haven't played that many non-conference Power 5 teams.
I'm looking it up. Yeah. I know I read something about that earlier. BYU is 2-0 on the year heading into Fayetteville. We're going to talk to Coach Jack Crow on the other side of our first time out, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Talk a little Auburn football as they prep for Texas A&M next weekend.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hunting and tailgating season is on us, and at Woody Anderson Ford, we believe it's time you got serious about an F-150. We've got nearly 150 to choose from, and without a doubt, one of the best F-150 values on the road today. is our STX package. You get 290 hard-working horses, mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission that'll take you everywhere, from that tree stand to downtown Tuscaloosa. Body-colored bumpers, halogen headlamps, 20-inch machined aluminum wheels, and lots of tech too, like a rear-view camera with dynamic hitch assist, which you boaters and RVers will love. A 2023 Woody Anderson Ford F-150 STX packs a punch, but doesn't cost a bunch. You can drive one for $499 a month. $499. 36-month lease with $52.10 due at signing. No security deposit plus tax, tag, and title. Includes $399 dealer fee with your good credit. Offer ends September 30th. Call 539-9441 for complete details. Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
You'll love the expanded wine selection at Liquor Express. From special occasion to everyday table wines, they've got what you need. Meet your friends at the largest tap wall in Alabama with 105 rotating selections. Then take home a growler full of your favorite or choose from our 1,000 canned or bottled beers. Need help stocking your bar or planning your party? Liquor Express has a knowledgeable, professional in-house staff that can assist you with anything from your bar to the planning of your special event. Visit liquorexpress.net for tasting specials, giveaways, and classes.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go higher and go Army.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Back here at Full Moon Barbecue, getting filled up at Full Moon. Nothing wrong with that. Walking you up to Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show. Let's talk some football, shall we? With Coach Jack Crows, kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. How are you, Coach?
I am good. I am very good.
Well, let's get into it with Auburn found a way there on the road at California. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing to look at, but a win's a win, right, Coach?
I think the coach had the word. He said awful on offense.
Yes.
He didn't hold back, and let's take it for everything it's worth. It was awful on offense. But, it happens. I personally think sometimes when you're trying to create culture, which is exactly where he's at, but, being in his first year and all the people he's brought in, sometimes the most bonding experience is I think what they take out of it is something like that. I think what they take out of that game long term would have been better if they had won than if they had won 40 to nothing. So, the other thing is that somebody told me that was at the game. There were more Auburn people at the game than there were Cal people.
It seemed that way, Coach.
Yeah, so there's a bonding thing going on there. There's a bonding thing going on there, and we'll see. Time will tell.
What do you make out of the quarterback shuffle? I had a chance to talk to Coach Freeze about it earlier in the week, Coach, but I'm curious to get your opinion on this quarterback two-step.
I think you can play two as long as you know who the number one is, and as long as the two isn't playing to threaten the role of number one. And I think Hugh has made it very clear that number two is not there to threaten the role of number one. He's there situationally. Now, could that impact number one if he doesn't play very well? Yeah, it could. But I think Hugh's got Hugh's got a plan. I've played too. I'm not uncomfortable with that kind of scenario. But again, unless the message going to the team is we don't have a number one, which is unsettling to the team, as long as the messaging to the team and inside the locker room is we've got a number one, and this guy's here to help us win the game. As long as it stays inside of that context, it's not going to be a problem.
Talking to Coach Jack Crow right now.
So, Coach, what do you see that's the major problem with the Auburn's offense right now?
Talent. I don't know how you could go so far backward talent-wise if they at Auburn. What they got accomplished the last 4 or 5 years recruiting is given their resources. Let me be blunt about it. Ridiculous to not have put more athletes in that program in the last 5 years, and that's 2 head coaches. Ridiculous who have left such a bare cupboard for that program, and but I do think in this day and time you can fill that cupboard up really quick. So have they all of a sudden done it? No, they haven't. They got a ways to go, but they Auburn's got a tradition too, and when they fully leverage what their tradition is and their resources are, they can catch up about as quick as anybody can.
Yeah, absolutely they can. Well, I'd like to shift gears over to the
Sure.
Texas-Alabama game, Coach. What did you see in that contest?
Well, and let me put this in context for my comment. Over time, I live in Birmingham, and I have a lot of exposure, I guess. And over time, I think I've become more ingrained in the Alabama conversation than I have the Auburn conversation, which is fine with me. I grew out of the Alabama side of it. Even though I coached at Auburn, I really grew out of the Alabama side of things, and always identified with their culture here's the other thing, and before I make a comment, is because of coaching at Arkansas, coaching at Baylor, the experiences of playing Texas when I was Auburn, I've made the comment and surprised myself when I made it, but I'm not backing off for it. I got a major in college football, but I got a minor in Texas. I know Texas. The guy that runs their NIL program, and I'm not going to use his name. I trained him. He worked for me at 2 schools And let me just be real blunt. Don't get in a money battle with Texas. And what you saw out there for Texas, can you guess what that quarterback's making?
No idea, Coach. What's he making?
3 times more than the Alabama quarterback made last year.
Woo! So he's snuggling up to $10 million? Is that what you're telling me, Coach?
There's money, and then there's Texas money.
Goodness.
Let me tell you the one that really told me that, and Dabo's sort of at the other end of the spectrum, but Nick's having to move slowly towards, out of that zone too. And I'm glad I'm not coaching because of guys like Sarkisian and the guy out at Southern Cal. They just said, okay, this game, we're going to win at it. And one that got me, the linebacker from Arkansas right now, last year was probably the most dynamic defensive player that's landed at Arkansas the last year.
Drew Sanders?
Yeah. You know where he's playing now? And he is.
I don't know that answer, Coach.
That linebacker that played for Texas, where's he from?
Oh, the one linebacker's from Arkansas. 33 was all over the field.
Well, I'm not.
I don't know who he played.
I'm telling you the chemistry and the money that when they want to go get somebody, there's a lot of people that sort of take from the bottom of some program. Those folks, Wes, are going to go buy your best player before it's over with.
But Coach, would you say that NIL for the SEC, which is not doing very well, the Southeastern Conference has not done very well against the other conferences this year, could be part of the problem?
NIL is the problem. You know what NIL still stands for? It's legal now. Now it's legal. NIL. Now.
Yeah, that's right.
And forever, Wes, and I can go back to, Texas at the beginning. And one reason I can say I majored in Texas is my youngest son graduated from there, who's in the financial services business like you would. And I probably had, 10 different guys that either played or coached for me that coached Texas. And I was a really good friend of mine. Created that. I know their coach, Daryl Royal, and I played golf a couple of times. He talked about Texas. Barry Switzer just caused them to go under a rock. And they totally sort of withdrew from what SMU decided they were going to do. Texas they decided what they were. So they've been in the deep freeze, so to speak, comparatively. And their ability to put money in Sarkisian. He problem is, over time, do you destroy your culture because it's all about money, like A&M has done, and probably some other people on the word. But I think Texas on Saturday would have beaten Georgia just as bad. I think that Alabama people need to really just sort of put things in perspective. I think they're going to have a really good year. Do they have the right quarterback playing? Not if they're going to run that offense. Wesley, if they don't design 10 running plays for that guy and get that guy to where he's a designated running threat instead of everything is about escape and, I just don't know what to say. They better get 4.5 yards on 1st and 10 if they're going to have that guy play quarterback. Got to manage the sticks with a guy that he's not know how to cover explore guy. Play action, running the ball, have everybody committed to the run. Probably great. But, not if you're going to be behind the sticks. So.
Well, Coach, I wish we had more time to visit with you, but we always learn so much as well. I know next week's a big week with Auburn at Texas A&M. We'd love to have you back, Coach.
Well, whatever Wes asked me to do is fine.
Wes wants you on next week, Coach. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Coach, thank you.
Always appreciate the knowledge, and boy, there was a lot right there in that conversation with Coach Crow. We are going to talk some Tennessee, Florida. Tony Basilio is set to join us on the other side to talk a little Vols with us. So let's go ahead and take our final time out as we're walking you up to Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
Hello, listeners. My name is Jonathan Dunwoody, and I own Minuteman Press. We are a full-service print shop that is locally owned and operated. I have personally been handling direct mail for over 17 years and have a great relationship with the USPS. We are the only print shop in the area that is listed as a print provider on their website and the only printing franchise that can use their logo as our partner on marketing materials. We can help from conception to design, print, and delivery to the post office. And with our easy, secure online payment option, you don't even need to leave your office. Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Injuries at work happen all the time in Alabama. So do motor vehicle and slip and fall accidents. If you're hurt at work or injured in an accident, I want you to call my good friends at Pond Lehocky Giordano. That's Pond Lehocky, Alabama's injury law firm. They got your back just like they've got mine. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Mortgage.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Listen each Friday to the Woody Anderson Ford High School Football Scoreboard Show, powered by the Huntsville Sports Commission on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Back here at Full Moon Barbecue, along with Wes Neighbors, Steve Moulton back here with you. And boy, this matchup used to be the matchup in the Southeastern Conference. The Vols have not won at the Swamp since 2003 as they make their way down, but they are a road favorite. And to help break it down for us, good friend of the program and always entertaining to listen to, he is Tony Basilio. How are you, Tony?
I am wonderful. I'm glad to talk to you guys, and I hope you guys are having a great week and ready for another great weekend of college football.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. So tell me what you're hearing from the fans after the Austin Peay game, Tony.
I mean, how do you not overreact? And then how do you not overreact, to a game like that? I guess would be the way I would put it. The quarterback playing the game and Tennessee's passing game was so far and removed from what we've gotten used to here, And and it's difficult to kind of comprehend how they could look like that. And now the realization of it is that you go from the frying pan into the fire. You're going to a very difficult, loud place. And Florida understands this is almost their last stand, because if you think about it, they lose to Tennessee tomorrow, they're probably staring at a losing season or something close to that.
Yeah.
And if you peek ahead to the 2024 schedule for them next year, it is not kind. It is really difficult. So this is a huge game for Billy Napier. Really large game as well for Tennessee starting quarterback Joe Moulton, who is going to be, he's not careful, the answer to a trivia question, which is, who's the guy under Josh Heupel that lost the starting quarterback job twice? Because nobody at that position outside of Joe Moulton has yet to succeed at quarterback. But for whatever reason, he's making it very difficult.
So there's many places to pivot to off of that. Talking to Tony Basilio right now in the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Third down conversions, I think, is another big issue moving forward. But I would say the good news is that, at least in terms of what I saw out of Florida, and even in the McNeese game a little bit, I saw a lot of inconsistencies that I saw in the Utah game. So this Florida defense feels like if you take them early that they'll crumble, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is one of those football games where the first 10 minutes are really important for both teams. Milton's had this history here where if he doesn't start well, it's not going to be pretty. And obviously, a team like Florida that struggles to score, if Tennessee can get a couple scores early against them, it would be, I think, a lot of trouble for them. So it stands to reason that a quick start either way is going to be really important. Look, I just think this is a really intriguing game. We were talking today on my show, and I wrote today on my blog over at tclub.team that, in my mind, any result, you could tell me that anything happened Saturday right now, and I would believe you. Nothing is off the table.
Would you have gone there back in July, Tony?
Yeah. Do what?
Would
now?
you really? I really thought Tennessee would win going away back when we were in Nashville for media days. Now I'm not so sure.
See, I think that's right. And I think Tennessee has come back to Florida. I think Tennessee's indicative of a Southeastern Conference where the quarterback play for some of these teams is so uneven. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's uneven, it's inconsistent, it's almost untrustworthy, that these teams are all bunched together now. Look at Alabama last week.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get quarterback play like that, you are right in the middle of the pack. You're not an elite program. You know, and it's funny here because Tennessee got so used to the Hendon Hooker guy. And look, I'm not knocking Joe Moulton, but our fans just thought this thing was going to be plug and play, and Josh Heupel was just going to wave his magic wand and everything, and that's just not how it's going to be. I mean, it's just with Joe Moulton, that's just not how it's going to be.
Is so much focus on the offense. How good is this defense compared to last year?
They run a lot better. Tennessee's front seven's better. They're better at putting pressure on quarterbacks. They're better at getting home than they were last year, which is a really important thing if you want to get off the field. Then again, the two opponents up front haven't exactly been what you'd call stellar. One is a 1AA game. The other one is that Virginia team that's among the worst in college football. But they
just lost to James Madison.
Yeah, they're at least getting home. They're at least creating tackles for loss. Tennessee's secondary, though, remains a question mark. They still look like, at times, electric football that we grew up playing, where when you turn the game on, the free safety's over there hugging the, he's over there hugging the side of the game, going. I mean, I have those visions when I'm watching Tennessee's back five or back six at times. So,
oh my God,
never a dull moment, guys.
So, given the history and everything that has happened down at the Swamp, I'm sensing. Are fans even optimistic, or are they just nervous for kickoff when it finally gets here Saturday at 6 Central, 7 Eastern?
I think most fans are pretty nervous about this game. I think most people are like me and probably like you. Back in the summer, Tennessee was going to blow this team out. Everything was going to be easy. The offense was going so well. Nothing can stop us now. Starship, all that good stuff. And then you get into the season, it doesn't look so easy. In fact, it looks kind of tough. It's not that Florida's very good. It's just that Tennessee offensively right now is so much a work in progress. And, the other thing is Tennessee's got this true freshman quarterback in Nico who is going to be a great player. They really don't want to play him right now. They really want to teach him, not get him hurt, grow him, all those things. And they really don't want to play him, but, boy, I'll tell you, this is kind of a scary proposition, this game coming up for Tennessee, because Florida really is not that good. And as you said at the outset, Tennessee hasn't won there in 20 years, whereas the likes of Kentucky won there multiple times. Vanderbilt's won there. Georgia Southern's won there. I mean, in between that time period. So Tennessee fans are left to wonder, if not now, then when? Because the Vols are a touchdown favorite. But, I'm not a guy that dispenses gambling advice, but I just don't see how, with a straight face, you bet on Tennessee and give up 7 points when you've got Joe Moulton right now at quarterback, the way he looked last time he was on the field. I struggle seeing that, but I'm sure people are making that play. I would stay away from that football game if I were gambling. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, talking to Tony Basilio right now, and really one of the bigger there's multiple differences from last year's team to this year's team, but also your offensive coordinator is down in South Florida. They're getting ready to take on Alabama. How much do you think Tennessee does miss Alex Golesh?
Well, I mean, obviously they do. I don't know if it's a coaching or a personnel issue. Look, you lost a guy that won the school's first ever Blitnikoff Award and a guy that was going to win the school's first ever Blitnikoff Award, because if the receiver that's now with the Giants didn't, the receiver that's now with the Bears was going to. Yeah. And then, not to mention the fact that you lost a guy that's a starting tackle in the NFL from day one, along with Hendon Hooker, who ran this offense about as well as you possibly could. So Tennessee, that's a lot of turnover for a team coached by a guy. They're just not quite there yet to have that type of attrition and just snap your finger and replace those guys. They're just, they're in year 3 under Heupel. They're still building this thing. They arrived a little early, in year 2, which is wonderful. That gives you a lot of hope as a Tennessee fan. But then I think you got to honestly look at that situation and say, last year was a great year, and you might take a step back this year, which I think is what we're seeing. What's startling is you mentioned those third down numbers. The third down numbers under Moulton as a starter, going back the last couple games of last year into this year, hovering in the high teens. That's not going to work. That just
no.
And that's against Vanderbilt, Clemson, Virginia, and then a 1AA opponent. They got blown out the week before they played Tennessee in 1AA football against a 1AA opponent. So, those numbers, that right there is just not sustainable. He's got to play better this weekend. He doesn't play great. See, that's the trick. You said it earlier about Florida. Florida's okay. They're, but you have to make them okay. You cannot come out in that game and let them be in the game. And again, with Tennessee, anything's possible because it's just been a house of horrors down there. The Vols have really creatively invented some ways to lose some games. And the Butch Jones era, they lost a game that's one of the worst losses. Again, electric football in their back four. Twice it happened. Twice they let guys get behind them late in the game. And it's just a house of horrors there for the Vols for whatever reason.
All right, Tony.
It has been a long time since I thought about that game with all the that's twice in one interview. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah, let me football. Hey, guys, never could complete a pass. I felt like Joe Moulton against Austin Peay last week throwing down the middle when I played electric football. That felt thing just would not go where I wanted it to go.
So let's end this interview on a positive note. Clearly, Tennessee has the better program entering into this game. Josh Heupel has won nearly 72% of his games since taking over from Central Florida. There is a lot of positive, good things going on for this Vol program, and I realize the inconsistencies that we've talked about, but just talent for talent, Tennessee is better than Florida entering into play on Saturday, Tony.
My favorite thing about this week is Dan Mullen's out there like he is Heupel fan number one. The Vols are going to win. He's paid to talk about it now because when he was coaching, he didn't want to recruit. And so the team he left behind, I bet that Napier guy sitting there going, in one way I kind of like Dan Mullen because he turned me into a lottery winner over here. But in a lot of ways, be careful what you wish for. You're right. Florida's just not very good. Look, how would you like to go out and, as Tennessee, lose to Graham Mertz Saturday? That's why I still think there's just no way. That guy, if you look pedestrian up in the dictionary, his picture's staring back at you. There's just no way. Is there? That Tennessee can lose this game? There's just no way, right? There's just no way. Just tell me there's no way, guys.
The only thing I'll say, Tony, is they play this game 10 times. Tennessee's winning 9 of them.
Yeah, I think that's right. But the series is that the one that you're thinking of could happen Saturday night. I think that's absolutely accurate, yes. But either way, guys, I'm going to be on to like 3 o'clock in the morning
maybe 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Eastern time over at tclub.team. I can't piece my brain around what show is longer for me, if the Vols win or if they lose. Because if they lose, I might not go to sleep till NFL kickoff the next day.
Yeah. No, I think if they lose, yes, you'll be up. You might want to find some brown water in the area. There's some fine brown water in the area that I know that you are accustomed to having in your reaches there for that fifth quarter program.
Well, I don't know if I will, but one of my callers called me on Monday and apologized because he called the show the other night and said, boy, what'd you think of that series the true freshman played? And I was like, what series? This guy scared me. Then he called back on Monday and he said, oh, man, I'm just so sorry. I was drinking liquor and I had a vision. I had a vision. I was like, don't do that to me. He scared me. This guy scared me. So that actually did happen. And my sidekick, Bino, who's with me on Fridays, he calls that show the fifth, the late night show. He said because everybody's half drunk on there. He doesn't call it the fifth quarter. He calls it the fifth. So.
I think that's very accurately put. I really enjoy listening to Bino, and I like him even more now.
Yeah. Well, it's always good to laugh, guys. I hope we're still laughing come the weekend.
Well, find that electric football game and plug it in, and let's see what happens on Saturday, Tony.
Guys, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. That is hilarious. Tony Basilio. Oh, goodness gracious. Yes, the Vols remain a 6.5-point road favorite. Let's try to squeeze in Mark on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. I just wanted to say that Paul Feinbaum, and, I know he's controversial, which is why he's made so much money, all the way back to when he was a writer with the Post-Herald. He used to do picks, and everything. He'll deny it, but he was one that wrote an article about it's time for Coach Bryant to retire. Kind of was one of the media people in Birmingham that a lot of people believe, not that Bryant was listening to him, but there was a lot of push there from him. The reason I bring that up is today's show, and I know this, I love 97.7, and y'all not going to pull Paul Feinbaum, but it's like I'm at a point almost done with him. It's like he used to be objective enough where if you go back and look at today's show, he had two guys on there, and I don't know who they are, but it was so disrespectful to Coach Saban, talking about the best coach to ever coach the game, and everything from stepping down to resigning to, lost control of the program, blah, blah, blah. Normally Feinbaum would cut off, these kind of people and kind of put things back in perspective, but he didn't. I wanted y'all's take on that. Why we?
I didn't hear what Paul said.
Yeah, he just.
Did you us?
No.
There are two guys that are national radio people, and I didn't recognize either one of them, but they had a good laugh against Saban. And I'm thinking, I understand the reason why Paul's on the air and he's successful. But if I'm an Alabama fan, it's like I'm done with Paul Feinbaum because, it's like if Saban deserves to be crucified for losing to a really good Texas team, he didn't lose to Louisiana Monroe, and they were competitive. It just got, I was like, man, this is just, so I'm just glad to have this station here, 97.7, and I'm glad for you two guys. God bless you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the phone call and the kind words. Sports Center update comes up right around the corner, and we've got Mr. Drew DeArmond here with us live from Full Moon Barbecue. We're just over a half an hour away from handing things over to Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show. A lot to get into with Mr. DeArmond next.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Sports. I'm Kevin Winter, week number 2 in the National Football League, kicking off an hour and 20 minutes from now, and it will be the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles. Minnesota coming off a loss at home to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in which they were dreadful in the second half. Kirk Cousins had 3 turnovers in the game, 2 fumbles, 1 interception, did throw for a couple of touchdown passes. Meanwhile, for the Philadelphia Eagles, they struggled, particularly in the second half, in a win against New England. So ESPN Sal Palantonio notes from South Philadelphia, the Eagles have things to clean up on offense.
Very specifically, without Kenny Gainwell, you'll see DeAndre Swift in the backfield. Throw it to Dallas Goedert. He had 30 routes in that game and only 1 target. It was late in the game. Throw it to your tight end. Open things up in the middle of the field, and that will open things up for your running game.
The Eagles are 6-point home favorites tonight. Total sitting at 49 has come down a little bit. Eagles and the Vikings start week number 2 about an hour and 20 minutes from now from Lincoln Financial Field. Cowboys wide receiver Brandon Cooks dealing with a sprained MCL in his left knee. Sources tell ESPN's Cowboys reporter Todd Archer Cooks still has a chance to play Sunday afternoon against the Jets. Baseball this afternoon. The Reds fall on the road to the Tigers 8-2. Meanwhile, the Brewers with a 4-2 victory over the Miami Marlins. They've gone final at Citi Field. Mets club the Diamondbacks 11-1. As it stands right now, there are 4 teams rather in the NL wildcard chase, separated by 1 game in the loss column for 1 spot. Last place, Red Sox. Not yet, but they have been for 2 of the last 3 years. They fired Chief President of Baseball Operations, Chaim Bloom, today.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. Coming up Friday, I'll tell you the one team I need to see step up this weekend, or else their season could be over very soon. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Neighbors Wealth Management, located online at neighborswealthmanagement.com. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll, and I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Back here at Full Moon Barbecue. And by the way, if they had a cologne, if this smell was a cologne, it'd be a bestseller. I mean, the smell in here is awesome. But Environmental Comfort Systems brings you our conversations with Trudy Armand Weekly. You can check them out online at envcomfort.com. How are you, sir?
Good, Steve. And Wes, how y'all doing, man?
Doing real well. And let's get into it. Let's start at the quarterback position, shall we?
Yep.
It has been talked about a decent bit since I asked Coach Saban about the quarterback room yesterday morning. What is your thoughts on the quarterback room?
Well, let's just put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler Buckner started. I mean, I think he's definitely going to play. At worst, I think it's going to be a scripted deal. Because they have to get him on the field to get his feet wet if he's going to be a factor against Ole Miss, and I think that they want to prepare for that at the very least in case Milroe were to get in trouble against Ole Miss. But it wouldn't shock me if Buckner started. to give him an opportunity. Now, I do think both will play. I've said repeatedly that I thought Milroe and Buckner would play in the next game, and if they took care of business and put the game away against what I think is a horrendous opponent, that they'll play three of them, that Ty Simpson would get in at some point in the second half. But I think they're going to take a long look at the quarterback position. Milroe made some plays. He did some good things, but he struggled a lot in that last game. And so against a quality opponent, no question about it. As Mark was saying before, we went to break there. But I still think there's a lot of football to be played, a lot in the SEC. And the biggest thing is with this Alabama team is I don't think they have as much explosiveness as their predecessors. I think they can make explosive plays, but it's not something you're going to be able to count on game in and game out. And so it's very, very vitally important to play from out front and not beat yourselves and not, throw interceptions, fumble the football, turn it over. Alabama's got to finish ahead in the plus-minus. And if they do, their defense played pretty well for, nearly 3/4 of the game. They fought. They kind of got tired in the fourth quarter because they played so many snaps in the game. But again, you got to play complementary football. You got to take care of it. And I think that's, the biggest issue with Milroe in his 3 starts, all of them being at home. He's had, I believe, 6 turnovers. And that's what you are concerned about. Because, he shows the potential to make huge plays. He throws a really nice deep ball. He has outstanding mobility. But he's just had a propensity to turn the ball over. And so they're just looking for somebody to manage the team, distribute the football, get it to guys. Because I think there were some issues with checks at the line. I think there was issues with missing guys open, short and intermediate. It's the exact opposite of Jalen Hurts. Hurts, where he struggled as a player at Alabama was the deep ball. But his short intermediate stuff was really good. And I think in nearly 2 full years as a starter, because remember, he was basically a starter for 2 full years and then a backup for a year, he had like 10 turnovers. Milroe's already had 6. One of the biggest things Jalen Hurts did, even in that 17 season when he finally lost his job against Georgia in the national championship game, I think he had 1 interception the whole year. So he won games and he didn't turn it over. And that's what Milroe has not done. He has not protected the ball. And so that's why he's opened himself up for this. I think he would have gone a long way if he could have protected the ball and Alabama had won the game against Texas. I said this, he would be QB1. There wouldn't even be any conversation about Tyler Buckner. But he didn't play as well as they were hoping, and it opened the door again. So,
Drew, what are they going to do about the defense? So we're sitting here talking, and he threw two turnovers, and they had 5 sacks, and there were 10 penalties in the game. But
10 penalties, yeah.
He drove down there after throwing an interception and brought us back to within 3, and it looked like I was thinking, here we go. All we need is to get a stop. We can't get a stop. And you go back and look at every game we've lost. The last 4 games, going back to the national championship against Georgia, we have not been able to stop anybody in the fourth quarter in those games.
My biggest issue is the development of the front 7, especially outside linebacker and D-line. I just don't think it's been there. When Coach Saban tells you after the game, we were in the post-game press conference, and he says, our plan was to rush 4 or 5 and cover. In other words, get home with 4 or 5. It didn't work. They obviously should have pressured more and blitzed. They didn't blitz very much. Because you look at the stats with Quinn Ewers when he's pressures on him and you get people in his face, his completion percentage is completely different. He's been rattled by people. Alabama knocked him out last year by pressuring. They just didn't get home.
They did. With the third quarter, they put pressure on them, and that's why they didn't score.
Yeah. They did. They had the third quarter was probably their best quarter. Yeah. They got off the field some, but again, defense. Yeah, exactly. But again, I just don't think they have the best plan. I don't think they executed it great. And I thought in the first game, I know there's a big difference between Middle Tennessee and Texas, but I just thought Alabama was really aggressive, and I thought they kind of took it to Middle Tennessee. I didn't think they were as aggressive against Texas. It kind of surprised me. I thought they would be. And I just, I'm on my show, on this show, every show I've done, I haven't hid the fact that I thought Coleman Hutzler and Freddie Roach were underperforming as far as developing talent. And even in recruiting some, but especially in the development issue part of it. And I think they have. I don't think they're just not getting the production out of their guys that you would look for. I thought they did a good job stopping the run until the fourth quarter. But I will give Sark credit for something, too. I think he knew going in it was going to be a tough sledding, that they weren't going to run the ball great, but he stayed with it. He just kept plugging at it, and then in the fourth quarter, he was really smart. He didn't try to, okay, we haven't been running the ball, so I'm going to keep throwing here and stay aggressive. He continued to run it and trust his offensive line and keep the clock running, and they did some motions and shifts, and they just outcoached Alabama and got some movement up front. And then West is what West talked about too. 2 or 3 of those penalties happened in the fourth quarter that sustained drives that just kill you. And Alabama's got to they got to cut the penalties out. I think Texas had 4. And Alabama had 10. So you've got to cut the penalties out. You've got to be more disciplined. But I just really think overall,
what they showed in the first game against Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I just don't think they had the best plan up front, and the development and the at outside linebacker. And the sad part is outside linebacker's got a lot of natural talent. I think it's just not producing like it should. Like, I don't even remember hardly seeing Dallas Turner the whole game. Now I did see Braswell some from my press box first, but I did not see. And they had Quandarius Robinson as part of the Rabbit package. Didn't see him get home. I mean, it's just, you can't let Ewers sit back there. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, because I'm telling you, they got dudes outside. I mean, Worthy will play a long time in the NFL. Your guy, A.D. Mitchell from Georgia. I mean, Whittington didn't do a whole lot, but he's a good player. And then Deshavian Sanders is a big-time tight end. You can't give him all day to throw. He's just they're going to make plays.
Well, see, what was happening is the other guys weren't getting home because he's able to step in the pocket. There was no rush in his face.
None, yeah.
And so when you can step up in the pocket and make those throws, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, not unless you beat a guy on the first move, but they were running enough little different plays to slow down the pass rush a little bit. I mean, I really didn't like our game plan on offense.
Agreed.
They took a chance starting that freshman. I knew that was a chance, and they got burned on offense. There's no other way to put it. I mean, the guy's a freshman. He'd probably be maybe one of the greatest tackles of all time before it's over with. But they took a chance by starting him, and he didn't play that well in the first game, really, if you go back and look. And then he just got totally abused in this game. And everybody wants to talk about the quarterback, and I get it that he maybe didn't put us in the best plays. He looked very indecisive the first half. Did make 2 of the worst throws ever when he didn't have any pressure when he made those throws, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Had plenty of time, had open people. If you just be patient. But you cannot win games getting 4 and 5 sacks, and then you go back and look at how many tackles the left tackle's guy makes on the run plays and on this or that. It was just a big gamble starting a true freshman at left tackle, and far it's a combination of all this stuff. Alabama's really lucky it was only 10 points.
We do need to take our one and only timeout as we're walking you up to Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show. Don't forget, later on tonight, it's the Eagles and the Vikings. You can hear it right here.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
Danny, pass the potatoes, please.
Sure, Dad.
And the salt.
Here you go.
And the bucket.
I need the bucket.
The water is dripping in my food.
Honey, can we get the roof fixed now?
Don't wait until the damage is done to call a roofer. Call the experts at Yellowhammer Roofing and let them inspect your roof. Locally owned and operated, licensed and insured. Call 256-232-1933. That's 256-232-1933. YellowhammerRoofing.com.
Our customers trust us not only to find the right hardware, but to advise them on the technology that makes them more efficient.
My Next Level team researches and discovers real solutions. Check-in software, HR, digital signature, and workflow software. It saves you money immediately. We hold your hand and stay with you through the transition.
We're taking our customers to the next level in business process automation.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do afterpaint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
Hi, this is Eli Gold. Coming up next, the Nick Saban Show. But now, back to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl.
Back here at Full Moon Barbecue, winding things down, getting you ready for Hey Coach, the Nick Saban Show. How are you, sir? 256-576-4977, the telephone number. Drew, what would you like to see most out of Alabama on Saturday?
Well, I'd like to see better quarterback play from the standpoint of throwing the ball in time, rhythm accuracy, stepping up in the pocket presence, and then, like Wes said, you got to also it goes hand in hand with the offensive line. You got to do a better job of sustaining blocks, getting movement in the running game, protecting the quarterback. It all goes hand in hand, but it's the quarterback play, the offensive line, and then the pass rush. Pass rush has got to be better. got to be more aggressive on defense. And then the fourth thing would probably be just the penalties. You know, cut the penalties down to a manageable amount, 2, 3. You know, not, you know, cut out the holding penalties, the illegal man downfield, the neutral zone infraction that really sealed the Texas game. Just mental errors. You want to cut down on those, but again, just play clean football and distribute the football to different people. You know, I think they need to run the ball better. They actually ran it well for the first quarter and a half against
the very first drive of the game.
Texas. If you look at McClellan, he had 6 rushes for 36 yards in the first quarter and a half, which is pretty good, 6 yards a carry. But the rest of the game, I don't even know if he got 50.
You know, he didn't carry the ball that much after the first half, though. The second half, number 5 was carrying it. He was dancing way too much.
Yeah.
Boy, that first series, they were.
Yeah. So, if you go back and look, how many times the left tackle's man, he would do good at the beginning of his block, right? He's a big dude. You know, it's hard to get around him.
Yeah.
But then he would kind of stop instead of finishing the block. The guy come off and make the tackle downfield. Texas did a good job of not having the big run because we were close a couple times. I think 5 missed some holes, dancing too much. A team like that, you got to cut, get to the second level, and then make something happen. They're not going to stay blocked. That team, Bo Davis's teams, they might get blocked. They're not going to stay blocked.
Well, and I thought Bo's defensive line did a good job. As the game went on, they just kept chopping wood, and they were always there. And then they kept coming and stopping the run. And they started getting home, you know, rushing the passer, them and the outside backers. And so they did a good job. They played hard. They had a good plan. And then, you know, to me, Alabama still left a lot of points on the board, though. They just need to execute because, I mean, when you think about it in the first half, I thought they had a really good drive in the half, right, for going into the locker room, and they called a perfect call. They leaked Roydell out of the backfield. A good throw. He gets up the field, gets a first down, maybe scores. It's at least going to be first and goal, and that's missed. He ends up having to fall down, and then they have to kick the extra point. And then, kick the field goal to make it 13 to 6. Pardon me. They had to settle for a field goal instead of having a first and goal and another new set of downs. And then they came out the locker room. They did score and it got called back. But 2 or 3 plays before that, I thought it was a great call by Rees. They got the one-on-one matchup with Bond. They wanted. He blew right by the DB. A good throw. You lay it out there. It's probably a 50-yard touchdown. But he had to turn and wait on it. It ended up being like a 20-yard game, but it didn't make an explosive play. And then the last one, of course, the wheel route. Beautiful call. I mean, you set it up. You get Jace isolated on a linebacker, and it's just, I mean, inches. It's just a game of inches. And that if those 3 throws are hit, then Alabama probably wins the game, scores 40-some points. And even with the struggles of, you know, Caden Proctor and the sacks that, you know, were given up, and even some of them were, I thought 2 or 3, Milroe held it too long. But again, the Milroe is capable of ripping throws. If he hits those 3, it's a completely different game. And it's just, well, unfortunately for Jalen, he didn't hit them, and Alabama didn't play well in other aspects of the game. You know, they did not play well defensively in the fourth quarter, and they just didn't take advantage of it. That's why when Alabama hit that deep ball to go up 16-13 at the end of the third, I still didn't feel great because I was like, ugh. I mean, they've left so many points on the board, and against Texas, and as dangerous as the Longhorns are, that's a death blow.
As much as we talked about Ty Simpson during this offseason, why aren't we talking about Ty Simpson right now?
Well, that's a good question. That's up to Ty Simpson, though.
Hey, that what Wes just said. It was been up to Ty Simpson. He was given every opportunity in the spring,
and then one good scrimmage, and he hadn't done anything since.
And in the fall to win the job. You know, he was given every opportunity, and like Tyler Buckner gets there, he doesn't get there till late April.
That's right.
And he struggled when he first started, and he fell to 4th on the depth chart behind Lonergan, but he responded, and then by the second scrimmage started climbing, and then by late in camp was up to number 2. Ty, you know, had been number 2, and as Wes said, played well, had some bright moments in scrimmages, but didn't finish scrimmages well, did not practice well, and he's fallen to 3rd. You know, and he's behind. That's why he's behind Tyler Buckner. I mean, the original plan for the Alabama coaching staff, you know, once, you know, the Drake May thing didn't work, and, you know, they looked into the Tyler Van Dyke. They wanted Ty Simpson to win the job. They still thought he could do that, but when he didn't, and it's kind of why I thought Joel Klatt's take was 100% earlier this week. when he didn't, we got to go get somebody. We got to have somebody come in here and compete. And because Milroe and Simpson had not performed as well as they'd hoped, and he comes in, and Milroe stayed, to his credit, because some people, including myself, thought he might bail.
Yeah,
but he stayed in, and then Ty started competing as well. But it just, Milroe held on to the job as an incumbent. I'm not going to criticize him, but Ty did not jump forward and take this job. And once he didn't, they brought in Buckner. And Buckner didn't come in to sit. I think Buckner knew he was going to get his opportunity. He got a small one against Middle Tennessee. And then, Milroe was given every opportunity to win the job too. Played well against Middle Tennessee, but not as well against Texas. Left a lot of points on the board. Wes was talking about the checks and things of that nature. Yeah. And so I think he's opened the door to give Buckner a chance, and there's no guarantee Buckner's going to play better. I know he turned the ball over at Notre Dame, but if he can get them in the right play, protect the ball, and he played really well in the second scrimmage where he did that without even being behind the first team, I think he can have a chance. Now, he may not be as physically gifted from an arm standpoint, but I think he's really smart. He moves around really well. He has really good mobility, and if he can get the football to the right people and the biggest thing, protect the ball, then I think he's got a shot. But regardless, I think both he and Milroe play on Saturday against South Florida.
Well, I just think Milroe has a chance to be a great football player.
By the way, I don't
know that he will be, though.
I want to correct myself. I was way off. SEC is 3-6 against Power 5 schools so far this year.
It's not been good at all.
Not good at all. Right. An important game, though, for Arkansas against BYU.
Yeah, we talked to Otis Kirk on the recruiting blitz today, and my man Otis has been around a long time, and he's covered a ton of Arkansas football. He thinks they're an 8-4 type team, at least their ceiling. When I was talking to him today, thinks the defensive line's a lot better. He likes what he's seen of the defense so far. That it looks improved, but they're a little worried about the offensive line. They struggled against Kent State. Rocket Sanders is probably going to be out for at least the next few games.
Yeah.
And so
big deal.
The A.J. Green kid's going to have to carry the mail, and then they're having to put a lot more on KJ than they wanted to. They wanted to not run him as much, but they had to in the last game. And, this BYU thing's kind of dangerous. They beat them last year.
Yeah,
but Satake,
like a drum.
But, Satake's got Keaton Slovis, who's probably, 35. He's on his fourth school. He's the starting quarterback for them.
A lot of age on that team.
And they're older guys.
BYU.
And so they're definitely expecting their oil to get checked, and they have to get their ducks in a row because they go to Baton Rouge for a night game the next week.
So injuries, Alabama.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
Jaheim Otis?
I think Otis is going to be okay. The one that was kind of concerning, Seth McLaughlin, I think has a hand. I think that kind of explains what's been happening with the snaps, because we really didn't talk about that, but the snaps have to be fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really messed up the offensive line. Yeah, you got to fix that.
I wanted to get into LSU, Mississippi State. I really think that's going to be closer than even what Vegas thinks it's going to be.
Well, we had Steve Robertson on the show, who I respect immensely, who knows more about the maroon and white than anybody, and he thinks State's got a really, really, really strong shot at this. And the amazing thing is, Will Rogers has thrown for 11,000 yards. He threw 17 passes last week, and as Steve pointed out to me, he was 13 of 17, and he was 0 for 2. Then he went 15 to 17. He threw 3 touchdowns. And, Woody Marks has really been running the ball well for them. If they can run it against LSU, because even Matt Moscone, we talked to him as well. We don't know how good anybody is right now in the SEC. It's been a week out of conference showing so far, and that's what's going to make this so fascinating, this start of SEC play and then the end of non-conference play for other schools like Alabama and Auburn, because Auburn's been struggling on offense too. I mean, it's driving Hugh Freeze crazy.
Yes. Always a pleasure, sir.
In honor of Tone.
Thank you to Full Moon Barbecue for hosting us. Hey, Coach, and the Nick Saban Show is next, and then don't forget, Eagles and Vikings.
Hunting and tailgating season is on us, and at Woody Anderson Ford, we believe it's time you got serious about an F-150. We've got nearly 150 to choose from. And without a doubt, one of the best F-150 values on the road today is our STX package. You get 290 hard-working horses, mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission that'll take you everywhere, from that tree stand to downtown Tuscaloosa. Body-colored bumpers, halogen headlamps, 20-inch machined aluminum